I've been really honored to know the man who is driven to free the world of slaves, Tim Ballard from Operation O.U.R. and the CEO of the Nazarene Fund. And we have been taking you through a journey this week with three amazing women that were chain around the neck slaves. And the most stunning women, people I think I've ever met, because they've come from slavery and in a very short period of time are remarkable. And they're just not going to take no for an answer, you know? They've lived their slave days. I want to talk a little bit about them, but I think it's important to say that this is happening everywhere, and it is a real problem in America, where people are kidnapped from other countries. People are kidnapped, white children kidnapped here, taken, Mexican children kidnapped and taken to America. And you work with one.
That's right. Yeah, it's important to realize we are the demand. We're the highest, the U.S. is the highest consumption and production of child pornography. So we create this massive demand. We are the United States. It's horrendous. And so we are that demand. That's why my team has so much success when we go undercover in other countries, because the traffickers are waiting for us. We are their clientele. That's why we can get in there. And you mentioned this little girl. She was kidnapped, 13 years old, kidnapped from Mexico, and lured out, promised things, smuggled across the border, and thrown into a van and taken to Chicago, and forced into slavery. And from age 13 through 15 years old, she was raped about, I'm not exaggerating this, about 30 to 40 times a day. They'd pick her up at 9 o'clock in the morning and bring her home at 2 a.m. And every 15 minutes, and this is standard, every 15 minutes a new client.
How is there anything left of you? Sincerely, somebody is violating you every 15 minutes. You have no hope of escape. Where do they go? Here, where do they go?
You know, they do different things. Some, unfortunately, they give up. We've seen many who kill themselves, which understandable.
Yeah.
This little girl that I'm talking about, who now works for me, she came to us and a few months ago wanted to know if we could use her help. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" But so her story, when we found her, she liberated herself. I mean,
How?
She got the traffickers into a complacent situation where they thought we got her. She's been with us for 2-3 years. She's not going anywhere. She outsmarted them to where they were like they stopped locking the door. And then she made her move. She's brilliant girl. And she got out. She got to the police. She's currently a witness in a major case, or I'd bring her on the show. But she is now taking apart this ring that operates in the United States.
In my travels with you, when we went to Bangkok, it was clearly, G.I. Joe was the target. And you immediately I looked at white men on the street in Bangkok and felt so awful and thought, like, what are you doing here, creepy old guy? And
especially the one that called you out by name as we walked down the Sex Street.
That was scary.
That was a creepy moment.
That was scary. It freaked me out so much. I moved fast. I should have gone back and said to him, "What the hell is wrong with you, dude?" In Latin America, it seems to be almost the South of the U.S. 50 years ago, where, Jerry Lee Lewis can marry his cousin, and he's 30 and she's 12, and it's all cool. Is there a cultural undercurrent in Latin America that makes it kind of okay for these 12-year-olds to be?
You know, I've seen the same thing, and I don't know how to explain it, but I see a shift happening where the problem is mentally, culturally, even here in the United States too, we haven't fully accepted the reality of what trafficking is. And so we see something like that, and sometimes it's easy to turn a blind eye to it. But now that we know the reality and the true stories, we can now say, wait a minute, we got to look at everything. We got to revisit the whole culture, age of consent in the U.S. too and everywhere else, because this is not in any way innocent. This is perverse. This is abuse. This is slavery, and we're trying to educate people on that because we're still not there yet to understand slavery is alive and well, and we have to look at every situation that might have been even strange but culturally accepted in some areas. We've got to stop it.
How common is it? One of the girls we interviewed this week, she was a slave by her, what was going to be her mother-in-law, and taken in by the family very, very young. The situation falls apart, and now the family just looks at her literally as a slave, to the point where they chain her up. How common is that?
I think it's more common than most people would want to admit. I mean, we see this in Haiti. We see this in other countries.
I was talking to the Mexicans, and the Mexicans were saying, "You think it's us? You have this all over your coastlines in America."
Absolutely. I mean, slavery, if you're evil, works. It benefits you if you're evil and you don't care. It's a highly beneficial system. That's why for hundreds of years, we fought that in this country. Greedy, dark, evil people still get that, and they will do it, and they do it, and it's so hidden, we've got to shine a light on it.
Nobody wants to look at it.
No one wants to look at it.
I find it interesting, Tim, that we're still sitting here discussing slavery that happened in America and happened all over the world in the 1800s, 1700s, all the way back to the beginning of the time. And we're still arguing about our founders. And it's so easy for everybody to say, "Oh, I'd be an abolitionist. I would have been there. I wouldn't have put up with that. I wouldn't, no way." Then what are you, honestly, the only person I know that has a right to tell me that is you and your team. Because you are truly an abolitionist. You've set your life to say, I'm going to stop this. So where's the disconnect from people saying, "Oh, I would stop that," to I've shown on television the old 1800s slave ticket from the auction block and the brand new last month ticket buying somebody in the Middle East. Where are all these abolitionists?
That's a good question. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And we've made this analysis before, this comparison. But if you were a northerner in the 19th century, you didn't travel to the south any more than you and I travel to Mexico or Thailand. So they knew about as much about slavery as we do today about slavery. Not that you need to travel to Thailand or Mexico to find it, by the way. It's here in the United States.
But back then, and I've seen them. I've seen the anti-slavery stuff. A lot of them are artists' renderings. There are no photographs.
Right.
There's no video. There's no, look, here it is happening live on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
So it took more for them. And yet they did something. We're awash in it. You can find this anywhere.
Yep.
And we're not paying attention.
And I think the key question we ask people, or the call to action we give them is, you like to say when you read history that you would have been an abolitionist. Well, then be one now, because it's no different. You have, in fact, you have more advantage today, like you just said. More advantage today because you can access it easier. You can be educated by it easier. Rise up, for heaven's sakes. We have to, or we're dead.
Somebody said the other day, they were talking about how we have this technology phobia, that when technology starts to rise up, you'll say, oh my gosh, that's just going to make porn into X, Y, and Z, and look how bad it's going to be for the culture. And in some regards, if you look at, several pieces of technology, it has made things worse in many ways. But it has also made your job possible, has it not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, especially in the United States, the exploitation and slavery of children, it's all online. I mean, that lets us access them. We train law enforcement here in the U.S. and all over the world on how to go into the dark net and how to use social media and find it. It's everywhere. I mean, we went to a little tiny town in the United States, 30,000 people. And within an hour, we had over 50 people in this town we caught them looking for sex with 9 and 10-year-old kids. That's how prevalent it is. And it's scary.
How do you, Tony and I went down to Mexico, and we were there for, I don't even know, 3 days? Mm-hmm. So we were down there with you, and I love Mexico. Mexico is not the cartoon that most Americans think. Mexico City is one of the greatest cities on the planet. It's unbelievable. And the people it's as cosmopolitan as New York City or San Francisco, and it's just great. I just love it. And so we're with these people, and we're hearing their stories, and we're seeing people like you and the people down in Mexico. They're just working day and night trying to get this message out. And I come home, and I did the most angry show I think I've ever done on the air. It was the day that everybody was pulling down the statues and talking about these old slave holders, and although these statues are up, and how it's holding me back and they're oppressing. I was just with the women who had a chain around their neck, and no one was going to stop them. And I got back into my broadcast chair, and I just let the world have it. What the hell is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? We're choosing that these stupid statues are oppressing us? Are you kidding me? Look, you want to know oppression? Here's oppression. And they're stronger than you are. And you have every single advantage, except that scary statue is oppressing me. Oh my gosh, I couldn't handle it. That was from me being with you for 3 days. How do you not come home and just not snap on society?
I have a hard time.
I bet you do.
Just watching the news. I sit back with my wife and I say, I can't even watch the news feeds because I want the front page on slavery every day until it's done, until it's over. These are real people, real kids, and people I don't know how to make my voice loud enough to wake people up to that. It's Coach Mike Tomlin, he called us from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this was his message. He called us, he says, the reason I'm calling you is because, for heaven's sake, he's fighting this divisiveness in the NFL, and it's a bigger problem in the nation. He says, can we please see a real problem? Not that I'm not saying that there's not issues that need to be dealt with. They need to be dealt with. But
perspective.
But if we can get everybody around a cause, we can all agree that children being raped is bad. So maybe we can come together on that issue and focus on that, and maybe we'll heal. Maybe some of the other things will heal in the process. But let's get these kids out. Let's all work on that and see what happens.
And it's not just, when I was with you in Haiti, I kind of felt bad about the bananas and the avocados that I eat, and because on one side of the border, it's free and run right. On the other side of the border, it's all slaves. And a lot of the stuff that we buy from the Dominican Republic, picked by slaves from Haiti. Am I right?
You're right.
I don't know. It's almost like a used car thing. You buy a new car and it's used for this. And then as it gets older, it goes to somebody else and then goes someplace else. And then it's eventually in the wrecking yard and it's crushed. I mean, it's not just sex. It's all the way down, as we're finding in the Middle East, it will be sex, it will be work. And then when you're not good for that, it's organs. You're just, it's
right.
done. I mean, they're just using every piece. And I don't think people understand that it goes through, you could pass through all of those.
Absolutely. You know, if you're slave labor is technically bigger than sex slavery, but we've talked about this. It doesn't. I see the kids in slave labor. They eventually are also sex slaves because they're property. That's the idea. Once you're property, you are anything. You're anything that master wants you to be.
The people who say, well, Thomas Jefferson, he had sex with his slaves. There's no evidence of that. It's most likely his brother, who was known for that at the time, or his cousin or something. But why is that shocking to you? If you feel that people belong in chains, they're property. They are property. So whatever I do with that property doesn't matter. I mean, it's an entire mindset. And to keep these people today is the games that are played. That's one of the things that I hope came out this week on this series was the games that these guys play, having them get abortion after abortion after abortion, and then having them give birth to one child, and then holding that child. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, because now you say if you leave my ring, you don't get to ever see your baby again.
Yeah.
I mean, the things they do to these kids is just unbearable.
How can people, besides the money thing, what can people do?
They can talk about it. Get on social media, share a video. We're not the only organization. There's other amazing organizations out there. Polaris Project, International Justice Mission. Find somebody in the cause and talk about it. Talk to your politicians about it. We're working on some legislation with Senator Hatch's office right now to kind of change the way that NGOs can work formally with the U.S. government and governments around the world. There's so much to be done, but the more we talk, the more it becomes a household theme, the quicker we can get all this other stuff done.
Talk about the people who are involved.
We have, our ambassadors are just great, who people are helping us out. Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tony Robbins.
Ashton Kutcher?
We have not worked directly with Ashton, but we support his organization, Thorn. They create digital tools to combat human trafficking. Big fans of what they're doing. The actress Marisol Nichols, I don't know if she's on Riverdale, that big show Riverdale. She's gone undercover using her acting skills to actually liberate children. And so it's just about keeping, and they all understand the same thing. They're trying to influence others to just see it. It's the Wilberforce model. That's what we call it. It's just getting the word out, putting it before people's eyes, which is what you're doing for us. I mean, all these shows that you just produced and your audience just saw, it's real, guys. It's real. We're bringing cameras. It's real. It should be easier for us than it was for Wilberforce. Because like you said, it's not drawings. It's not Uncle Tom's Cabin, a fictional account of the reality. We're showing it to you. We're taking cameras into the heart.
I will tell you that Tanya was she was devastated and exhilarated by the weekend. That
sums up my life right there.
Yeah, you're just devastated. As I was sitting in that room, I think that was like, I don't even remember. I think 1:00 in the morning we're doing these interviews, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to their stories the second time, and just devastated by them. But at the same time, on those three women, exhilarated because their story is so captivating If people will just listen to their story, you have a fire lit inside of yourself.
They are the inspiration for me. It's those stories that keep our team moving and going, because there is light in this darkness. They are the light. These survivors are the light, and they keep us running.
This is truly, truly God's work. I mean, I can't imagine anything that you could be involved in your entire life that would be more important than this. And now we have joined forces with O.U.R. and Tim has joined the Nazarene Fund as the CEO. And we've pooled our resources, our governmental resources as well, and all of the connections to be able to really go after the darkness, not only all around the world as he has been, but now with special emphasis in the Middle East and Northern Africa and wherever these Christians, Yazidis, or anyone is being taken because they are a religious minority or they're being persecuted. We are going to kick those cell doors open and free them, and we really need your help. Please go to thenazarenefund.org, thenazarenefund.org, and don't just say, I would have. Be able to say, I did, not I would have. Join us. Good night.